Okay, I think we're live. My internet connection is a little slow, so it may be lagging, but hello everyone. I hope everyone has been having a great weekend. I'll wait until I see a few chat people so I know that everyone is here. If you're watching this afterwards, I will jump straight into the announcements just in a few minutes. Okay, great. Hello. Hi everyone, great to see you. Thank you very much for voting on the poll. That was really useful for me. That was very insightful. I've been on Patreon now for 3 months, and really I appreciate so much each one of you all. And I should have done this a little earlier, but I wanted to give it a little bit of time and see what's working for myself before putting out such a poll. But interestingly enough, I think I was assuming things too much, because a lot of the things that I was doing, it seemed like people did not care for as much as things that I haven't been uploading as much. For example, live streaming. I still want to live stream, but I will discontinue the weekly live streams, and I will do just occasional live streams. The important announcement is that I've created a page on my website exclusively for Patreon, because in really trying to figure out the layout of the actual Patreon page, I found that it was quite limited in terms of how I can organize things. So what I did was I created a page on my personal website with a password, and the password is "thank you for supporting," all lower caps, all spelled out. And on that page, I will be organizing the videos, different types of audio, and maybe text notes just on that page. So the tiers, of course, will change, not so much, but a little bit. The $5 tier will just have the password. The $10 tier, nothing will really change. You'll have access to everything. I will just post sheet music and audio files and other bonus material that is tangible and downloadable onto the Patreon page. So that is about it. So 2 major things: the page and discontinuing the live stream. The weekly live stream. I still will be live streaming because this is quite important to me, to have this live interaction with all of you all. I do live stream on Instagram, but it's a little different there. And so that is all for the practical information. Again, the password is "thank you for supporting." I will post something with the password separately. But what do you all think of this idea? Thank you also for those of you who messaged me separately about the poll and about me asking for feedback. I'm well aware that many of you all actually don't want me to post more on Patreon and are encouraging me to just focus on my material, and are emphasizing the point that you are supporting me so that I can continue doing what I've been doing and showing on YouTube and with my own music. And I really, really appreciate that. I really do. And I'll keep that in mind. At the same time, I will also keep in mind the fact that there is an opportunity here to create things that are mutually beneficial. So I won't, I'll be kind of careful and mindful about what kind of content I put out and where I spend my time, because I realize that some of the formats that I've been relying on, for example, vlogs, they may not be so so useful, so valuable. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't. So that being said, I'm sure things will all figure itself out. The most important thing is that I will continue to be productive in the right ways, and I really, really appreciate all of your support. I was surprised at how many people chose music theory content from the poll, and that's quite exciting because I jot down notes and study music theory on my own consistently, so that's something I could be sharing a little more of. Anyway, yes, okay. Quirk Maker, hello Andrew. Hi Andrew. Hello Matt. Sorry, I'm gonna butcher your name. Jatinder. You're watching at work. Wow, I wonder where you live if you're still at work. Mons, hello. Andrew, I really like the live streams, but I understand that there are only so many hours in the day, etc. I agree with Andrew. Hello, Matt. Yeah, the live streams are not going to go anywhere. I just think that it's probably a more effective use of everyone's time if I provide updates on the page, where I'll just consistently here and there add videos, notes, things like that. And then instead of having something weekly, where, to be honest, I'm not always a talkative person, or I'm not always in a talkative mood. So if I look back while I was organizing my videos, looking back at some of the live streams, I think they're just sort of, it's nice to hang out, but also I'm not really talking about much. So it's all good. I really value the real-time connection though. So this isn't gonna go away, don't worry. Continuing off of something I started last week, I first wanted to talk about some tracks that I've been listening to a lot this week, and there will be a little more than 3. I'll just start with my fascination with second movements of piano and violin concerti. Specifically, I have about 4 in mind. The 2 second movements by Barber, one from his violin concerto and one from his piano concerto. And I think his concerti in general are kind of underrated. Barber, in the piano repertoire realm, I think a lot of people play his Nocturne, a lot of people play his Excursions, of course his really most famous Adagio for strings, and a couple of other small pieces here and there. But largely speaking, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I don't hear his concerti being played very often. But they're both extremely beautiful, these middle movements, the outer movements as well. But really he makes use of such a simple melody, but how he builds it is incredible, especially in the violin concerto. It starts off so serene, and you almost don't see, you almost can't imagine what the violin will develop into in just, maybe about a minute or 2 into it, about a quarter of the way into the movement. Just the buildup is so tense and amazing, and I've just been fixated on those 2, and I've just been appreciating Barber as a composer. Also, the second movement of Shostakovich's Piano Concerto No. 2. Now, that one really, the other day I probably listened to it about 5 times in a row while doing errands. I always like to just listen to music, and I don't remember hearing it. I've definitely heard the concerto many times, especially when I was studying, but I never really remembered that second movement. Maybe it was the recording I was listening to, or the recordings, because I've listened to a couple on Spotify and also on YouTube. But really, that movement, it's almost like film scoring, and just the simplicity of how the strings are arranged, but having such a maximum effect in terms of just having this beautiful color. I don't know, it was really moving. And if you want to have a moving, warm experience, I would recommend listening to that movement. And also another violin concerto, Bruch, Bruch, his second movement of his, I think it's G minor, number 1, violin concerto number 1. Really, really, absolutely beautiful. And I remember listening to it live by Hilary Hahn. I think it was when I was about 14 years old at Aspen, and it was pretty incredible. So those 4 middle movements. Another piece that I've been listening to a lot is a track by my friend Adam Neely. You probably all know him and his band Sungazer. I've been listening to a lot of his music here and there, but I really started liking this one track called Ostinato. And at first, I'll be honest, I thought I wasn't too fond of it. I thought it was a little too aggressive in a way for my liking, but then it just continued to grow on me. So if you have a chance, check that out. What else? Quote. This is not really a direct quote from somewhere, but something that I've been thinking about a lot this week is that it's worthy to lean into discomfort. And I don't remember where I first heard this worded this way, but it's something that I think about a lot in all areas of my life, especially music, especially in on the piano, at work, whether it's filming things or working with PBS, with social interactions, things like that. I think it's important to lean into discomfort. And I've been practicing that musically this week. I think there are a lot of things that have been overwhelming because I've been away from music in a certain regard, especially as a pianist. So to get back into it is kind of overwhelming. But in doing so, I feel much happier, and it's been meaning that I've had to squeeze in practice time and just piano time in between things, but it's definitely worth it. It helps with my sleep schedule as well to try to fit everything in because as you all know, if you've been following my live streams, I have a problem with sleep, but in order to wake up early, it's kind of it's not possible to go to bed too late. So that is a quote, and I'll just leave the week's realization at the Patreon announcement because that's something I thought a lot about this week. It's good to get feedback, and it's good to reorganize and figure out what works for everyone. So that's about it. Let me see. Jatinder, yes. Ostinato, yeah. It's so epic. Just the momentum that he creates, or the band creates. And I love all the textures going on, the mixture of sound, not just for this track, but just for Sungazer's tracks in general. I just love how there's the kind of computer sound, computer game, almost 8-bit like sounds, and then you have strings, you have these awesome vocal samples and actual vocals, and these polyrhythms happening with cool bass lines. I am a fan. I'm a huge fan. Let me add another thing. I've been listening to a lot of tracks lately, especially during commuting. A friend of mine let me, I guess, have a pair of noise canceling headphones, and they have really made a difference in my listening experience, because a lot of times I choose not to listen to music when I'm commuting. Say I'm on the subway or I'm on a train, because in order to hear the music I have to pump it up pretty loud. So I just avoid listening, or I'll just put in earphones and I'll just use them as socially acceptable earplugs. But with these headphones, I find it very comfortable to be listening on the go. So that being said, a lot of listening, something that a track that I listen to a lot is Electric Counterpoint. Not necessarily one track. There are multiple movements, and I think it's for multiple guitar or solo guitar, depending on the movement. I may be wrong, but I listened to a couple of guitars recordings of this one by Steve Reich. Did I say Steve Reich? Electric Counterpoint by Steve Reich. And I noticed that Pat Metheny recorded one, and I quite enjoyed that one as well. Speaking of Steve Reich, his birthday is October 3rd. And I think I mentioned this last time, did I? Maybe? That I'm thinking of doing a How to Sound Like. And I think I'm definitely going to do it, just because I'm such a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Steve Reich. If you know my music, if you're familiar with my compositions or improvisations, you know that I really like Steve Reich. So hopefully I'll do that. The only nerve-wracking thing is that he's actually alive, and I don't know how I feel about that, because I've actually never done a How to Sound Like with a composer who's alive. But a friend of mine, when I was traveling in Germany, pointed out something that I thought about a lot since he told me. And he challenged what I said just now, because I said something similar to him. And he said, don't you think that with the ability to make videos and the ability to share music and have the platform you have on YouTube, it's important to focus on some of the living composers? Because imagine if I was writing music, studying music, playing piano, and making videos in the abstract sense in the time of the historic great composers. Wouldn't it be an obvious thing to capture what they're doing? If at all possible, capture footage of them speaking or something related to their persona or them in person. And I completely agree with him. So that is all I have to say about that. Wise words from my friend. Let's see, Mons, you have my sympathy concerning sleep. I've been struggling with it always and will continue to do so for the rest of my life. I sympathize with that statement as well. At the same time, something that I catch myself doing all the time is saying these kind of set in stone statements that are built around really rooted opinions that I have about certain things, and especially about myself. And that's the type of thing I would say to myself. I would say, I will have this problem for the rest of my life. But I think it's important to flip the language around, and even if, deep inside you still feel that way, in order to unfeel that way and train yourself not to feel that way and actually make changes, I think it's important to avoid saying things like that and at least in language, express that it is possible to change and reform certain habits and certain ways of being. This is something that my lovely mother always reminds me, so I have to thank her for reminding me of that. Okay, I'm going to keep this stream very short. Just a few more questions. I know that I think there's only a handful of you all on here. Thank you for joining live, of course, wherever you all are. I know for sure not all of you are on the East Coast or West Coast, or in the States rather. Cal, you should ask him to add his own snarky remarks in the video. Let's see. Andrew, actually alive, such a classical musician thing to say. Yeah, no, definitely. It's so specific to classical music. I definitely recognize that, and it's unique. There are pros and cons to that. So anyway, I think that's it in terms of all the things I wanted to say on the stream. I'm very, very, very excited about this page on my website. If you have a chance to check it out, do so. I just made it today, so I think in the next week or two, I still need to figure out how I'm going to organize it, and then of course add material to it. But I love gathering notes, and that's just a thing that I do. I love keeping track of things. I like writing things down. I like seeing different progress. I like seeing things that I thought were interesting and then going back to it and realizing that it's not interesting, or I got it wrong. I just like the whole process of note taking, and that is really how my videos on YouTube started, as practice notes. And practice notes will still be uploaded onto YouTube, but I've mentioned this before, but the YouTube format, with my standards and also perfectionism, I really want to create a certain kind of video. And it's also evolved into another thing where I have these different series on there, which I know a lot of you all are essentially supporting me for. But if I tried to free myself from some of the ridiculous standards I have with video editing, I say ridiculous because it just takes so much time for what it actually is. I would be compiling notes in a different way, and I just love doing that, and I love learning and sharing it all. So super excited about the page. Please continue to give me feedback about this change. If this change affects how you what you want, or what the reasoning behind why you're on Patreon, I apologize. This is just me doing my best, and I will continue to do that. And that's all I can do. So that being said, I will sign off now. Let me just see if I missed anything. Andrew, but then most of my musical heroes that are still alive are in their 70s. Yeah, generations just fly by. Cal, one of my biggest musical heroes, Thelonious Monk, passed away just a few months before I was born. Yeah, I never really thought about that. A lot of my heroes are are in fact deceased, so I guess that really fits my background. Anyway, thank you all again. I will sign off now quickly, and check in with you all soon. Check the page and let me know your thoughts. All right, bye.